Hey guys, so let's do a comparison between these budget earphones, the Realme Q2 versus the Air 2 and the Buds Z. I'll try and cover almost all the important stuff so you can choose the right one for you. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe and also like this video guys. Let's begin. So the Realme Buds Q2 has this matte finish, whereas the Realme Air 2 and the Oneplus Buds Z has that glossy finish. I personally like the matte, but for some reason the Realme Q2 feels a bit cheaper in terms of the build. Probably the plastic that is being used or the in-hand feel compared to these two. Realme does not reveal the battery capacity on the spec sheet, but this is what they claim. So for most people, these should last for about 2-3 days with the battery case, which is pretty good. Let's look at the earbuds. You have that stem design versus that sort of pebble design. Realme has this fascination for flashy things. You can see this on the Q2, you have that bluish sort of dual tone, whereas on the Air 2 also you find that. And the Buds C definitely has a low profile, simple design in terms of the looks. But one important thing, Buds Z does not have active noise cancellation, whereas the other two models has it. Now talking about the ANC, if you are planning to buy the Q2 for the ANC, don't buy it. Even the Air 2 does not have that strong ANC and the Q2 only feels worse. In terms of specs, the Realme Air 2 and the Q2 match spec for spec, but one thing that the Realme Q2 is missing, it is the in-ear detection, so it cannot automatically play pause depending on whether you're wearing it or not wearing it, which is present on both the Air 2 and the OnePlus Buds Z. All of these are water resistant, but the Buds Z has a slightly better IP rating. All of these support the Google Fast Pair, so pairing and connection is pretty much seamless, and you can see this is the new interface of the Google's Fast Pair, so it works pretty fine as well. Another important thing is the customization. The Air 2 and the Q2 has this Realme Link app, so you can customize. The options are pretty much the same. You have the EQ, you can switch between different modes. You have the game mode, and you have the buttons, and the button customization is very good on these Realme earphones. You can see here you have all the options to choose from, and double tap, triple tap, touch and hold, pretty good stuff. But if you look at the OnePlus Buds Z, you have this app called Hey Melody, and the app is very basic, and the customization, as you can probably see here, not much. You can only double tap and there is no EQ settings, so it's just very basic. Now a lot of people look to buy these for gaming, but let me tell you, all of these have a very low latency. I mean, they are playable, you get used to it, but the biggest problem is when there is a lot of action, the footsteps really get confusing and you just keep guessing. So the sound imaging could be better, so it's not really for a pro game player. Calling and mic is really important these days, so let me give you a sample first. Hey guys, now I'm recording this with the Realme Buds Q2 while I'm actually walking. There is that wind going on, a little bit of wind, not much because I'm just walking normally, and it's sort of a indoor setup. It's not outdoors really, so this should give you an idea as to how much background noise it picks up. There is indeed some noise as well, the ambient noise. So you guys let me know which one sounds better. Let's also compare this with the other two as well. Hey guys, now I'm recording this with the Realme Buds Air 2. Again, in the same conditions, testing one after the other. And noise cancellation is on this one and also the Q2 as well. So there is that bit of wind noise going on along with similar sort of background noise. So let's see which one sounds the best, and you guys let me know in the comments as well. Hey guys, now I'm recording this with the OnePlus Buds C again with the same settings, same place, and walking with the same similar sort of wind going on, and the same background noise could be slightly different here and there, but really the ambient noise is pretty much the same and same conditions. So let me know how this sounds compared to the Q2 and how much background noise it picks up. So it's clear that the Q2 is worst of all in terms of calling. I mean, the noise suppression wasn't that good in terms of cutting out the ambient noise. And not just that, even with a bit of a wind blow, it just cuts out the voice entirely. So that's pretty bad, and I would recommend getting the Buds Z or the Air 2 for a slightly better calling experience. Finally, let's talk about the most important thing, the sound quality. Let's compare the Q2 with the Buds Z. Now, in terms of the bass, a lot of people are interested in bass, so the Realme is definitely a win here. It has a lot more bass, so if you're all about bass, go get the Q2. And if you enable the bass boost and volume enhancer, it gets really loud and bassy, but it definitely subdues the treble, the high notes. But if you use the dynamic, it does give you a pretty good music experience. But if you prefer a more balanced sound with decently good bass with a slightly better mids and instruments, you can get the Oneplus Buds Z. Now between these two, they have the same chipset. The sound signature feels pretty much the same. So the simple answer is they both sound the same, but I could find a minor difference. The Air 2 seems to have a bit more nice and tight bass, whereas on the Q2, when you hear that bass, you feel that vibration for a bit longer. It rolls on for a bit, but it's a very minor difference, and it's probably because of that shape, design and the seal rather than the drivers or the sound signature. It's so negligible that I couldn't even care to change the ear tips, but do try out different ear tips before using these. So in terms of the battery, the Buds Z lasts about 4.5 hours, whereas the Air 2 or even the Q2 actually lasts about 4 hours, 3.5 to 4 hours with the ANC on. So if you turn off the ANC, the battery life is about 4 hours on each of these, which is pretty decent. So final verdict, which one should you buy? Between the Q2 and the Buds Z, you can get the Buds Z if you want a slightly better calling experience and a more balanced sound. But if you want a more bass heavy sound and don't care about the mic, get the Q2. Now between the Q2 and the Air 2, if you have a budget, you can definitely consider getting the Air 2 as well. It can get you a slightly better mic and calling. But if you're on a very tight budget, you can still get the Q2 because it does offer you the same sound as the Air 2 as well. So I'll drop a link to all of these guys. Consider buying from my links. It does help the channel to make more such videos. That's been it. Like and share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.